When a victorious era starts to wear out, difficult decisions must be made. This is exactly where the Golden State Warriors find themselves. After years of glory, titles, and historic moments under the leadership of Stephen Curry, the San Francisco team is now facing a more uncertain scenario, pressured by the urgency of returning to the top before their biggest star reaches the end of his career. The elimination in the semifinals of the last playoffs was more than just a setback. It was a clear sign that something needs to change. The foundation that once supported an empire no longer shows the same strength. The team's limitations were exposed, and with that, the conversations about strategic moves in the NBA market intensified. At the center of these discussions is the name of Jonathan Kuminga, a young talent with athletic explosiveness, a privileged physique, and enormous potential for growth, but who, within Steve Kerr's system, never found a solidified role. In many moments of the season, his presence was more felt by the absence of minutes than by his impact on the court. The Cameroonian forward, who entered the league with high expectations, saw his opportunities become increasingly limited as the rotation tightened, and technical decisions prioritized more experienced names. With his contract nearing its end and the real risk of an exit without financial or technical return, the Warriors' management began considering alternative scenarios. It is within this context that Bleacher Report analyst Eric Pincus proposed an audacious operation, a trade involving three franchises: Golden State Warriors, Chicago Bulls, and Charlotte Hornets. A risky move, but one that could breathe new life into the California team while simultaneously meeting the needs of the other involved. In Pincus's idea, Kuminga would be sent to the Chicago Bulls. In return, the Warriors would receive a combination of players and draft picks: Lonzo Ball, Jalen Smith, Josh Okogie, a 2026 first-round pick, and 4 second-round picks from the Hornets. To complete the puzzle, Charlotte would get Moses Moody and Jevon Carter. The proposal at first glance may seem complex, but it is precisely in its engineering that the strategic value lies. It's not just about swapping pieces, but about rebuilding the board in a way that aligns talent, experience, youth, and contract flexibility around one goal: to become champions again with Curry still in his prime. For the Bulls, the arrival of Kuminga would represent a high-return bet. Alongside names like Patrick Williams and the promising rookie Matas Buzelis, the former Warrior could form an athletic, modern, and versatile core, especially in rim protection and paint defense. Additionally, his current contract still represents an affordable value, allowing the franchise room for other moves. According to Pincus, the NBA's Eastern Conference is in a moment of transition and uncertainty, which makes a move like this even more impactful for Chicago. With the right base, an intelligent fit, and space for growth, the Bulls could surprise next season, something that hasn't happened in years, since Derrick Rose's prime. But the real point of interest in the proposal is how it would transform the immediate future of the Warriors. Starting with Lonzo Ball, a point guard who, despite dealing with injuries in recent years, has shown that he can still contribute at a high level when healthy. In 2024-25, his return was promising. With solid averages, sharp court vision, and shooting efficiency, Ball showed he can be the brain of the second unit, relieving Curry during rest periods. Additionally, Lonzo is an above-average defender, capable of guarding multiple positions and generating quick offensive transitions. His presence on the court isn't just about statistics. He elevates the team's tactical intelligence, something valuable in playoff games where every possession matters. Alongside Ball, Jalen Smith and Josh Okogie would also join. Smith, who played for the Pacers last season, impressed by converting 4% of his three-point attempts, in addition to being solid in rim protection. His versatility as a spacing big man could be exactly what the Warriors need to balance their front-court rotation. Okogie, though less media-driven, is a real defensive asset. About to turn 27, the forward combines youth, experience, and a natural instinct for reading the game on defense. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to make an impact, which fits well with the collective style of play Golden State has always valued. With these additions, the Warriors would solve two problems at once: strategically parting ways with Kuminga and strengthening weak positions with players who bring complementary characteristics to the current roster. And all of this without compromising long-term salary cap space. But beyond the players themselves, what makes this trade so intriguing is the symbolism behind it. By agreeing to part with Kuminga, the Warriors send a clear message to the market. The future is now. The quiet rebuild gives way to an immediate reconfiguration. The goal is no longer to develop promises, but to maintain a competitive environment around a Curry still hungry for titles. Such decisions always divide opinion. Some see Kuminga as a talent that will flourish in another system, and so the trade may seem premature. Others believe that this is precisely the right time to maximize the value of a player who, despite his talent, never truly fit into Steve Kerr's style. In the end, it is this urgency that drives every move the Warriors make. They are not just trying to win, they are trying to win now, while there is still time. Because they know the clock is ticking, and every season without a big campaign is one less opportunity to capture another trophy before the inevitable end of a glorious cycle. In the Warriors' locker room, every step of this potential trade carries not only technical weight, but also emotional weight. It's easy to forget that behind the numbers, statistics, and projections, there are players with dreams, ambitions, and frustrations. Kuminga arrived with the sparkle of a surefire bet for the future, a developing promise, molded to one day lead San Francisco's new generation. But time passed, and leadership did not come. Steve Kerr, the strategist behind one of the most respected modern dynasties, has always valued tactical discipline, off-ball movement, and a collective standard of the highest level. Players who shine in isolation don't always fit into this model. Kuminga, with all his physical tools and raw talent, often seemed to swim against the current. This subtle, almost silent conflict was eating away at the young athlete's place in the rotation. And when the system swallows potential, you either adapt or get left behind. Therefore, Golden State needs to decide whether to keep pushing for a fit that never materialized or capitalize before his value sharply declines. This trade could be the most sensible way to close this chapter. And here comes another crucial factor: time. Stephen Curry, although still playing at an extremely high level, can already feel the approach of the final years of his career. The biological and competitive clocks wait for no one. Golden State can no longer afford to lose seasons in the name of future development. The window is closing, and within it, only decisions that accelerate competitiveness fit. With Lonzo Ball's arrival, the plan becomes clearer. A point guard with basketball IQ, sharp vision, and defensive ability. His presence would allow Curry not to carry so many minutes on the court, preserving his energy for critical moments. It's not just about moving the ball or pushing up the floor. It's about strategic vision, protecting the franchise's greatest asset without losing intensity. Jalen Smith, in turn, fits into a long-standing gap for the Warriors: the lack of a center with physical presence who can also space the floor. The team has tried players like Wiseman and Looney in various roles, but has yet to find the balance between physicality, mobility, and spacing. Smith, with his solid outside shooting, might be the piece that unlocks new offensive variations in Kerr's system. Meanwhile, Josh Okogie adds valuable depth to the defensive rotation. He's the type of player who doesn't shine in the spotlight, but who every coach trusts. His effort, ability to lock down defenders, and interception instinct make him a precious asset in playoff series where every possession counts. The Warriors have won championships with this type of player, names that don't light up the stats but make the difference in key moments. But perhaps the biggest asset of the trade lies in the draft picks. Even while seeking to win now, Golden State understands that balancing the present and future is vital. Receiving a 2026 first-round pick, along with 4 second-round picks, gives the front office flexibility. These picks can be used in new trades, swapped for key players, or, if wisely evaluated, turned into new talents with affordable contracts. Meanwhile, for the Hornets, the move is not just symbolic. Acquiring Moses Moody and Jevon Carter represents an investment in stability. Moody, although still young, has already shown flashes of talent in Golden State. His shooting ability, combined with his defensive instincts, might find a more free-flowing development environment in Charlotte. Carter, on the other hand, arrives as a reliable backup point guard, bringing stability and experience to a young group. In the grand scheme, the operation is delicate but highly calculated. Three franchises with different interests intersecting at a common point. The search for identity. Chicago wants to become relevant in the East again. Charlotte is trying to find stability amid years of shaky rebuilding. And the Warriors? Well, the Warriors want to win once again. The big challenge in such a move is dealing with public criticism. Fans, analysts, and former players will inevitably react with passion, divided opinions, and immediate comparisons. They'll say Kuminga was traded too soon. They'll argue that Lonzo Ball is a risky bet. But sports are about risks, and great stories of overcoming adversity come from the courage to make decisions when most are still hesitating. Inside the locker room, the dynamic would also change. New faces mean new bonds, adjustments to chemistry, redistributed leadership. But if there's one environment suited for integrating diverse talents, it's Golden State. Under Kerr, the system has already absorbed players with varied profiles and transformed them into essential pieces. Success won't come immediately, but the path can be built with patience and tactical clarity. If the trade does happen, it will mark the beginning of a new chapter, a moment of silent yet significant transition. Because behind the trade headline, there's a deeper decision, keeping alive the dream of seeing Stephen Curry with another ring on his finger without sacrificing the future of the franchise. And even if this decision costs letting go of promises, the past has already shown that the Warriors know how to reinvent their own story. And perhaps that's the great virtue of long-lasting dynasties, knowing when to turn the page before it tears itself. When a young and promising player like Kuminga is about to leave a franchise, it's not just the technical aspect that weighs heavily. It's the feeling of something that could have been and never came to fruition. Many fans bet on him as the natural heir to the post-Curry era. They saw in his leaps to the basket a spark of what could come. In his isolated flashes of brilliance, there was hope. But deep down, there was also an unease that grew every season. Why was he still not indispensable? Within the culture of a championship franchise, talent is not enough. You need to fit in, understand the system, step back when necessary, and above all, contribute to the collective even in scarce minutes. Many believe Kuminga was never properly utilized. Others point to his difficulty in adapting to Steve Kerr's demanding tactical model. In either case, reality sets in. Time has passed. Expectations were not met, and now, the Warriors have the chance to turn this question into pieces that truly address the current needs of the roster. But what about the fans? The fans who bought the jersey, who cheered for his dunks, who defended Kuminga on social media, who believed in the rise of a star. They will feel it. They will question. They will criticize. They will wonder if it was the right time. They will look to the future and perhaps see Kuminga flourishing elsewhere, like so many before him. And that can hurt. But this is the dilemma of great franchises. Between emotion and reason, almost always reason wins. Because in a market as competitive as the NBA, there is no space for nostalgia. Longing is a luxury executives cannot afford. They need to see 5 steps ahead and make decisions that might seem unpopular today for results to come tomorrow. Still, Kuminga's departure is not just a trade of names. It represents a rupture, a line being drawn between the recent past and the new phase that is beginning. The championship core is no longer the same. The Splash Brothers core has aged. The rotation has changed. The bench no longer has Iguodala, Livingston, or David West. And now, one of the young players who symbolized the renewal also leaves. It's as if the Warriors are, little by little, saying goodbye not only to players, but to an era. And even though Curry remains, what surrounds him is transforming. And it needs to transform. Because basketball, like life, demands movement. Stopping is the same as regressing. In this scenario, the arrival of Lonzo Ball could symbolize an attempt to reinvent the team's offensive fluidity. A point guard who prefers the pass over the shot, who thinks the game in fast motion, who knows how to occupy spaces even without dominating the scoreboard. He is not a superstar, but he could be the missing link between the first unit and the bench, the kind of player who doesn't shine alone, but makes others shine. Alongside him, Jalen Smith brings strength in the paint. Something Golden State has sought for years, testing names, taking chances, and never finding the right piece. With Smith, there is at least a chance of having a reliable physical presence that also spaces the floor, something vital in Kerr's system. Josh Okogie, with his defensive mentality, fits into the franchise's combative spirit. He reminds you of those quiet players who do the dirty work, who don't show up in the highlights, but who make a difference in a 7-game series. Players like him win important games. And while all eyes will be on these names, perhaps the most important asset in the trade will remain silent in the back of the room. The draft picks. They make no noise. They don't give interviews, but they represent possibilities, the raw material for any partial rebuild or big future move. With picks in hand, the Warriors regain flexibility. They have cards up their sleeve for the market. They can dream again of a player who will show up in the next draft and change everything, or of a high-impact trade in a few months when the season is in progress and new opportunities arise. This kind of planning separates an ordinary franchise from a championship organization, knowing when to act, knowing when to step back, knowing when to yield to win. And the Warriors, even in a delicate moment, still seem guided by that silent compass that has taken them to the top many times. The decision to move forward without Kuminga is not cold. It's necessary. And for a team that wants to maximize Stephen Curry's last years, there's no time for doubt. It's time to bet. To believe that this reconfiguration, even if it doesn't cause euphoria today, may be the foundation for the next big moment. Because in the end, that's what great dynasties do. They fall, they rise, they adapt, and if they have the courage, they reinvent themselves before they are even forgotten.